To her.
To me.
To you. I saw the need for Latinos for Trump to bring balance to our culture. My message is a little more to the center than Paloma, because somehow I feel that the Democrats have kidnapped our communities. In our country, there was a party in Mexico that stayed for 80 years. So we're sort of like used to just being told what to do. And right here you see that there's like a very disproportionate political inclination of our communities. So Latinos for Trump was actually, it came out of the need within the culture to express the need for conservative values. You can argue, you can say that the one size doesn't fit all in our communities anymore, and there is the collective consciousness of the Hispanic community has actually evolved to it has come of age where we have conservative needs, and the way we were going, they're not met.
And President Trump was your candidate from the beginning?
President Trump was my candidate from the beginning. Actually, I wanted to hear what Bush said, but when I started seeing the opposition, the violent opposition against Trump, it made me, I found a connection with Trump, and I started seeing a lot of people, which is something that happens in my country, is that they punish success. You know, they say the formula to make enemies is say the truth, dress nice, and speak, and that you create a lot of enemies. And I think Donald Trump, he came and talked the truth, and he spoke to a lot of Hispanics, including me. Hispanics, Ronald Reagan did say that Hispanics are Republican, they just don't know it yet.
So is there a good number of you guys in the nation, or are you guys a small minority?
There's thousands of us. There's thousands and thousands. I heard Donald Trump use that expression. We do not have the structure that the Democrats have because they have been doing this for years. So they have more groundwork. But we have the passion to overshadow those.
So did you get a lot of people wanting to join?
Still, right now there's thousands of people that are asking us how to join. So we're working on a platform. I was talking to Navarro, and how we can do a platform to where we can all get together and have a uniform message and continue, because we helped Donald Trump become the president. Now we need to help him be the president, the best president that's ever lived in the United States.
Great, thank you.
Follow the law. I mean, basically, speak the language, integration. I mean, the language, that's one of them, that's a big one. A lot of them don't want to speak English. You know, I mean, my English isn't perfect, but I tried and tried and tried for the past 20 years. And I think everyone, I mean, that alone, communication. How are you going to live in a country where you can communicate with its citizens, and you expect them to communicate with you, and you expect them to integrate into your culture and take you in? So language is probably one of the major ones for me, and attitude too. You know, attitude. They want to bring an attitude like a Mexican attitude to America, and that's not going to work here. And that's why Americans are so mad, and that's why 60-something million people went out and voted for President Trump, because they see that.
Great, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit why Trump
balance between that, because we don't want to take it to that side either, where, you know, that I grew up in that, so that was kind of hard too, growing up in Orange County and being discriminated against and being looked at really weird when I spoke Spanish, because I learned to speak English when I was 11 years old. So
you learned to speak English when you were 11?
Yeah.
I learned how to speak English
when I was 5. You don't have an
so.
accent. That's.
I grew up with 2 American sisters.
Oh, okay.
My mom married an American citizen, so I grew up with 2 American sisters. But But I remember back then it was oh my God, it was very racial. There was a lot of discrimination. So now this is what I see. The people like Hispanics that grew up in that era that I grew up with in Orange County, those are the people defending the illegals.
Yeah.
So those are the people because those are the ones that can vote too. So I have friends, a lot of friends in Orange County say, oh, how could you be with Donald Trump when, you grew up in an America where you were discriminated against and blah. Yes, I did. And I don't think that it should be that way either, but this is what's going on. And maybe if you left Orange County, and maybe if you came to LA every once in a while, maybe if you traveled more, you would be able to open your mind
And you
to
have
the
an
reality
example
of
to
seeing
reality
what's going
what
on.
really
Come
is.
to Tijuana with me. See what these people are doing. They're
I
crossing-
love when you said that yesterday.
I like how you say that though. Come to Tijuana because a lot of people are not. They're so narrow-minded that they don't visit other countries and they don't see how it is in the
Or
systems
they visit
of government.
Cancun. Cancun is not reality.
Yeah,
That's a resort.
yeah, it's a resort. Yeah.
Okay, can I, I'm sorry
Yeah.
to cut in there. Can
So,
I ask
we're
you,
already talking about this.
wait, メガネ映りません？大丈夫ですか？Can I ask you, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
How do you think President Trump has done so far? Are you happy with his policies?
Oh, I'm extremely happy with his policies. I think in the time he's been in office, he's kept his word, he's kept his promise. His supporters haven't been let down. It's been hard because the left is trying to block everything that he does, like the ban that we're protesting today. But I think he's working day and night, and he's given us even more than we expected. I mean, the first day after he took office, that first Monday, he was already at work, and that's what he promised. His speech during inauguration was exactly what he had promised throughout the campaign. He hasn't changed anything, so I'm extremely happy with what he's done, and we're out. That's why we're out there supporting him. If I didn't believe in him anymore, if anything had changed, I wouldn't be out there supporting him the way I am.
What specific policies are you most excited about?
Well, the Muslim ban, for example, the executive order that of course he's having such a hard time with, but I do think that extreme vetting is such an important thing, especially with what's happening in Spain, what's happening in France. I have friends that live in Spain that, their wives are being sold on the street, and people are acting like it's a normal thing to do now. France, so that's probably the main one. Right now, the deporting illegal immigrants, the criminals, starting with the criminals. So those two are priority for me.
And what do you think in specifically about the immigration policies? Getting tough on non-documented. Why are you such a support of? Why do you support this so much?
I support it because I know the mentality of my people. I mean, I'm not racist against my own people. I'm from Mexico, so of course I'm not racist against them. But I do know how they think, and I know that our president, our government, is pushing illegal immigration. They are trying to get rid of a problem that it's their problem, and they're pushing it onto the United States. And it's not this country's responsibility to take care of what Mexico can't take care of. So that's, I think by allowing all these people to come in and giving them and allowing them to have babies and anchor babies, which is what we call them, and supporting them and making it so easy for them, we're taking the problem away from Mexico and allowing that corruption in Mexico not only to continue but to grow, because what they're doing is they're pushing illegal immigration here, they're working here, and they're sending the money back to Mexico, and that money ends up in the hands of politicians and the people that control Mexico, which is the rich people in Mexico.
And what about in terms of the United States? How does, it looks like, he gets criticized as being racist and all that for...
No, absolutely not racist. I mean, I see exactly what he sees, and I see the crime, and I see the drugs. I've lived in 7 different states in the United States in the past 17 years. So I've seen the cities change. In LA, this is the main city where it has all happened. So,
in what way?
Well, I mean, neighborhoods like East LA that used to be clean and safe, and people used to follow the law, and the houses looked in a certain way. They don't look like that anymore. They're starting to look like Mexico. They don't respect code. We used to, in the States, we have a certain way that houses have to look. And that's just the image of this country, and things have to be done in a certain way. In Mexico, you can pretty much do whatever you want, and that's what they're doing here too. So they're bringing in the bad things from Mexico. They're bringing in what they're running away from in a lot of different ways. They're the street vendors, which is known for saying that if we keep allowing this, we're going to have taco trucks in every corner, and it's true. And it's true. I mean, we have 10 years ago, I don't remember seeing stray dogs in East LA. We have stray dogs in East LA. We have taco trucks in every corner. We have taco stands in every other corner. So, that's affecting our economy. It's affecting everything, just the way we live our lives. Everybody's driving around illegally. I got hit by an illegal driver with no insurance, completely drunk, and I had to chase him myself because LAPD also, they're just not responding anymore. There's just so much crime. Things are not what they used to be. It's turning into a third world country, which is exactly what President Trump said. So,
and in terms of you all are Latinos yourselves, and how do you feel the discrimination turns against you as well in this after Trump got elected?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. In fact, you know what? I feel the complete opposite, because it's about how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself. And it's not so much, maybe I speak English really well.
You mean discrimination by our own?
No, within the white community.
What by the white people, she's saying.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It's the complete opposite from that, because even people that maybe don't speak English the way that I do, which I know personally, Latinos that they came here at a later age, it's how you handle yourself. It's how you relate with others more than anything than what you look like. And people are very open to that. People are very open now to get to know us, and not generalize everybody. So no, I've made so many friends during the campaign, white friends.
And in terms of your own community, are you facing a lot of issues within your community?
Yeah. I feel very, even here in LA, certain areas of LA, I feel very attacked and discriminated against by the Mexicans that live here. But I feel that in Mexico too. Mexico's a very racist country, and it's not just racist. It's a very socially divided country. So in Mexico, it's very divided. So we have, the European Mexicans, and then we have the more native Mexicans. So in Mexico, everybody kind of discriminates against one another, and they're bringing that here. So it's very difficult, because that's one of my main concerns and problems, that they're bringing that discrimination here, and we didn't really have that here. Everybody here, it's just kind of like it's how you speak, it's how you are, and it's not so much about what you look like, and they're turning it into that in a lot of ways. So.
And what makes you stand up against within your own community?
I love this country. I used to travel when I was between the time I was 6 months old to when I was 10 years old. And I would just visit Southern California. I would go to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and San Diego. And I grew up knowing the contrast between both countries very well. So there was a very, very, huge difference, Mexico, the U.S. And about 12 years ago, I started noticing that difference was kind of, San Diego and Tijuana were kind of becoming one. The borders they weren't enforcing the immigration as they used to. So I know that if we don't stand up now, and if we don't get things done now, eventually this country is just going to disappear. The Hispanic community is going to take over this country.
And in terms of your own experience, you came into this country legally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my whole family has traveled to the U.S. for about 4 generations. My grandfather actually went to school in San Diego. He lived here for 2 years, went back to Mexico, lived in Mexico his entire life. He was a commercial pilot. And finally, my mom decided to marry an American citizen. So that's how we ended up here in the U.S. 20 years ago. So, but my mom is the first generation to actually fully migrate to the U.S. and become a naturalized American citizen. So I have a lot of respect for this country. It gave me things that Mexico would have never given me, in safety, knowledge, and also made me feel welcome by the American people. So.
And you said you grew up in Orange County, which is really conservative, right?
Very conservative.
So are a lot of your values, did they develop in Orange County, or how did you come to support Trump?
Well, I think growing up in Orange County had a lot to do with it. I also grew up in Pennsylvania. I went to high school in Pennsylvania. So I really sympathize with the people that right now are feeling like they are losing their home. And that I'm more concerned about them than I'm concerned about myself or illegal immigration, because they are losing their homes. They are losing, especially in places like Pennsylvania. There are cities in Pennsylvania that are completely divided. They have taken over the towns. They are flying the Mexican flag everywhere. Half of this high school is half Mexican, half white, or half, American, and it's like a war. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speak at these high schools and give these kids a lot of them were born here or came here when they were very young, and educate them as to what they have here, how good they have it here, and that in Mexico that they're giving such an amazing opportunity to be in this country, and in Mexico they wouldn't have that. So instead of fighting against Americans, they should unite with Americans and become one and value this country and appreciate it and love it and respect it. So I think, yeah, growing up in Pennsylvania had a lot to do with that. It's very conservative too, and so is Orange County.
In terms of, there's, since President Trump came into office, there's a lot of been enforcements and raids, ICE raids and things like that, and kids not being able to attend school. What do you think about those kind of things?
It was something that they brought upon themselves. It was something that eventually was going to happen, one way or another. I mean, especially if someone took action like President Trump. See, the problem is that they came here and they took advantage of the country for so many years that if they would have done it in a different way, this wouldn't be happening. If they would have came here and had 1 or 2 or 3 kids and been able to support them, this wouldn't be happening. So by them having 6, 7, 8 children, living off, asking for welfare, EBT, and everything that they've done, it's kind of like they brought it up on themselves. And I'm not gonna be happy about families being divided. I understand that there's a lot of poverty in Mexico, and I feel bad for these people. But I also know that if they would behave and they would do things in a different way, this wouldn't be happening today. So, they brought it up on themselves. That's all I can say.
Can you talk a little bit about how your life has changed since you came to the United States? And
yeah, of course. I used to visit every summer, basically, Orange County. My aunt had a house in San Juan Capistrano, so South Orange County. She had a beautiful, the typical California home. And eventually, when I was about 12 years old, she had to sell it because there was so many illegal gang members moving into San Clemente. So, she had to get rid of her home. And that's when I started noticing the difference between living in the U.S. and feeling safe, feeling protected. I grew up respecting the law. I grew up having a sense of this country gave me a sense of freedom, which is something I never had in Mexico. In Mexico.
So can you briefly tell me about why you got involved with
Yeah,
this?
I got involved in all this from the very beginning. When Trump first gave out a speech, I was actually quite surprised that he was going to run for president, to be honest with you. And I was nothing but ecstatic and excited about it. And I said to myself, I'm like, this is the guy I grew up watching when I was a kid. I read his book, The Art of a Deal, and it inspired me to get in business. It inspired me to want more out of life. It had a strong impact in my life. I mean, he said, if you think big, you can achieve big things. And for me, that was a big model to live by. And my whole life I've been living by that. I don't drink. He set an example. Drinking didn't get his family far. His brother was an alcoholic. I had family members that faced with alcohol problems. And to myself, I was like, I'm going to set an example and not do that. I want to set an example to people not to do that stuff. So I want to be clean, and I want the Latino communities are so broken, and for me that's heartening. It's a serious thing when you see people that come to this country and they want to live in the same mentality as they lived in a third world country. for me, it's like, you know, you have to, when you come into a country, there's a form of assimilation. Marco talks about how he's more sensitive because he's more in the center of things. You know, I'm not. I see that you have to assimilate to a process. And when Trump said that speech, he talked to me. And I didn't want to be talked down at. And to me, it was like, he said that he was going to make sure that the people that were coming here, that were committing crimes, who were coming and raping and killing people, were no longer going to be protected. And that spoke to me. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I like this guy. This guy has common sense. We can no longer have people being taken advantage of in this country. There's so many Americans who are watching who know that the policies that Democrats and the left have enacted for so many years have failed us. Inglewood is an example of that. Hawthorne is an example of that. Watts is an example of that. Compton is an example of that. You look in those cities where they're well run by Democrats. You know, the state of California is also an example of that. The governor is a Democrat. The state assembly and the majority are Democrats. The majority of Congress and congresswomen in the state of California are Democrats. Those are the policies that are failing us in the state of California. Because a lot of Democrats are in power, but necessarily, what are they doing for us? And for me,
Is that why you're running?
That's why I'm running. I'm running because, you know, the Democrats have held our country hostage, have held the state of California hostage. And I can no longer say to myself that I can stay behind and sit down and watch shit fall in flames. And for me, that's really concerning because, you know, I grew up in a country where my grandfather came here from another country, Cuba. My grandmother from my mother's side came here from Mexico. So it's two different countries, different opinion. You know, you had corruption in Mexico. That's why they escaped that country. And the other side of communism, with Fidel Castro. My grandmother came here in 1967. And my grandmother's 95 years of age. So she has a long life. She's experienced a lot about politics in her lifetime in Cuba and other countries. And, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my grandparents. I learned a great deal of politics from my family. And they taught me that you have to appreciate this country that we live in because there's so many freedoms that we have here that a lot of countries don't have. And the amazing part about this country that you're able to succeed in business. You're able to create wealth overnight. And that is the beautiful part about this country. You have the freedom to do whatever you dream of. And if you dream of something, you think it, you can create it. Like Walt Disney said, if you think it, you can create it. I live by that model. Because if you do create something, you create something for the good of society. And you build society. You create jobs. You build the infrastructure. You have to have a foundation. There has to be a foundation. When you build a house, you first build a foundation. There is a foundation to a house. And that's why I'm running for Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna. So from here to the fashion district, it's about 40 minutes.
Okay.
But from the fashion district to the protest is about 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's all in downtown LA.
だからバイの方を最初行って買い出し最初行ってそれからプロテスト行って
じゃあその後にちょっとその移民がね
So and after the protest if you
はい、はじめまして。
Her name is Amelia Gutierrez.
アメリアさん、はじめまして。こんにちは。今日は日本のテレビが来てます。カメラマンがいます。
Okay.
彼は音声。
Okay.
音声。僕はディレクターです。
Perfect. Gracias. Thank you.